Hello, everybody. My name is Cameron Abrams.
My name is Maya Greenfield Tong.
My name is Jared Levy.
My name is Madeline McCready.
I'm Chloe McMahon.
And in this presentation, we will be acting as the Disney Company's Board of Directors.
So, as we all know, Disney has a really long history of achievement and success. And much of this success can be attributed to really strong leadership and direction that we've had in the past. Next slide. So our founder is Walt Disney. You can see him right here. And Walt had a really strong foundation for Disney in order to build his empire on. His vision and leadership are a big part of why Disney is so successful today. He held employees to a high professional standard and always emphasized the importance of creativity and quality. To this day, creativity and quality are at the forefront of everything that Disney does. Walt Disney also stressed the importance of synergy. He focused on leveraging intellectual property across all of Disney's business segments to create a strong competitive advantage that still benefits Disney to this day. In addition to his success with creating a winning company culture and a synergistic strategy, he also created the first ever Disney theme park, Disneyland. Disneyland gave Disney the financial stability to pursue its high expectations for quality and creativity. To this day, the Disney resorts and theme parks are Disney's second highest source of revenue. Next slide. So after Disney came Michael Eisner, and he continued Walt Disney's emphasis on creativity, branding, and synergies. But he also knew that there was still more room to grow. Eisner relaunched Disney's TV programming and animated films. He purchased ABC, which included many different TV networks and stations, including the sports channel ESPN. Now, this acquisition made Disney the largest media company in the United States. Eisner also partnered with Pixar and found huge success making computer animated movies. The alliance with Pixar brought movies such as Toy Story and The Incredibles, which further strengthened Disney's reputation of being a leader in quality and creativity. Next slide. After that came Robert Iger, and Iger wanted Disney to have a larger global reach. He wanted to use advanced technology to produce creative content with appeal all across the globe. To achieve his goals, he took a decentralized approach and let the individual businesses make the decisions they thought were best. His corporate strategy was to pursue billion-dollar franchises. He made a number of high-profile acquisitions such as 21st Century Fox, Marvel, and Lucasfilms. Disney began to make less movies per year and focus on high-quality box office hits. By the end of summer 2019, Disney had the highest grossing year in Hollywood, bringing in just about $8 billion on movies alone. Next slide.
Now I'm going to be discussing where Disney is now as a company. So Mr. Chapek was appointed our CEO in February 2020. There has been a dramatic increase in Disney's price percentage change from Iger's leadership, which we seek to replicate. Currently, Mr. Chapek, as a new CEO, we will have you implement multiple strategic initiatives that were put in place by Iger, his larger-than-life predecessor at Disney, as Iger has spent 50 years with Disney and 15 years as the CEO. We plan to lead the company with the same strong leadership, but with new, innovative, and growth ideas in order to stay the market leader. Moving forward, we need to lead our company with the same strong leadership, but with new growth ideas in order to continue being the market leader. We need to continue having a fun, creative, and magical work environment. We are confident that we will be able to help Disney focus on continuing to build assets through their products and services, continue to obtain intellectual assets, and find ways to stay competitive in order to make profits. Next slide.
Strengths. So Disney's greatest strength is its brand name. When a customer goes to see a Disney movie, they know that they're going to see a creative masterpiece. Disney has been able to build up a strong reputation for creating the best, most creative content. They've done this throughout the years because of their commitment to innovation and quality. The Disneyland theme parks also give the consumer a personal experience with Disney to further strengthen that trust with the Disney brand name. Weaknesses. Although many of Disney's greatest franchises, such as Pixar, were products of acquisition, the media world is beginning to be disrupted by the emergence of streaming services. As consumer preferences shift from watching cable television to using streaming services, Disney's plethora of acquired TV networks will begin to take large losses in revenue. In addition to consumer preference, Disney's strategy of acquiring media studios is not sustainable. There are only so many studios that Disney can buy before cannibalization of profits and sales occurs. Opportunities. Disney has been exploring new countries to build more Disney theme parks in. This is a huge opportunity for Disney to establish more concrete relationships with our consumers all over the world. Additionally, as consumers switch over to streaming services, Disney has a great opportunity to be a leader in streaming with our new streaming platforms, Disney Plus and Hulu. And lastly, threats. Although streaming can be seen as a great opportunity for Disney, there's still a lot of competition in the streaming market. Netflix is a clear leader and Disney's greatest threat in the streaming industry. On top of this, more companies are trying to get into the streaming, such as Amazon and Apple TV. Next slide.
I'm going to be describing the first issue Disney faces. Increasing disruption and convergence in the media and entertainment industry is producing a whole new set of competitors for Disney. Entry into streaming service is generating cutthroat competition with established players such as Netflix and Hulu, but also new entrants such as Apple TV, AT&T's HBO Max, NBC Universal's Peacock, which is owned by Comcast, and YouTube Premium. Although Disney is in the process of launching its own streaming service, Disney Plus, there appears to be room for only a few, if not just one or two winners in a competitive landscape, where Apple, Netflix, Comcast, AT&T, and Amazon are all chasing after the same consumer. The question is, how many different services would the average consumer pay for, and how should Disney Plus position itself to be successful in this market, given such disruption of media? Next slide. Furthermore, while the number of subscription-based streaming services is increasing, the number of people paying for cable TV is decreasing. As you can see from this chart, cable TV lost 10 million subscribers from 2010 to 2016. Disney's highest earning segment in terms of revenue is its media network segment, where it owns many cable TV channels, including ESPN, the Disney Channel, Freeform, National Geographic, and FX. In fact, half of Disney's revenue comes from its TV networks. This means that the downward trend in cable subscriptions is a threat to Disney. Next slide. On to our recommendation. First and most importantly, we recommend that Disney remove its products from all other streaming services. Disney has already done so with Netflix, but Disney movies can also be found on Apple TV, Vudu, Xfinity, and more. This will weaken buyer power by making Disney Plus the only place to find Disney movies and TV shows, and weaken supplier power by keeping all products in-house, which is a defensive move that will put Disney in a better position to compete in the streaming war. Next, we recommend that Disney take advantage of its ownership of both Disney Plus and Hulu and offer a package deal that will compete directly with Netflix. Recall that Netflix's monthly subscription was $12.99, so we recommend matching that price. This is an offensive move that will target consumers directly. Finally, we recommend that Disney divest the 4 TV channels earning less than 500,000 viewers annually. Next slide. If we remove Disney movies and TV shows from all other streaming services, those services lose their leverage over Disney, and consumers won't be able to go anywhere else to watch their content. Disney will have complete control over their intellectual assets. If Disney reduces the threat of supplier power, buyer power, and substitutes, the overall effect is that profitability will increase because prices will go up and costs will come down. Consumers will pay for Disney Plus because of the strong brand image that Disney has cultivated over the years. They own many popular and beloved characters that make consumers very brand loyal. In order to sweeten the deal, Disney can bundle Disney Plus and Hulu to compete directly with Netflix. This unique product offering can be marketed to brand loyal customers as more valuable than Netflix's offerings. Next. This chart on the left shows the actual growth percentages for the top streaming subscriptions from the third quarter of 2019 to the first quarter of 2020, while the second and third quarters of 2020 are projections. It is clear that Netflix's growth is slowing down, declining more than 10% in a year. Disney Plus's growth rate, however, is increasing. The chart on the right is a projection of the subscribers per each streaming service for 2024. This puts Disney in a good position to acquire market share given our recommendations. Next slide. Finally, Disney should divest or move directly to Hulu or Disney Plus, the 4 lowest performing channels it owns. These are FXX, ESPN2, National Geographic Wild, and FX Movie, all of which were previously owned by Fox except for ESPN2. This would be a defensive measure to protect Disney from losses when cable viewership continues to drop. Disney can move these channels to one of its streaming services to mitigate losses from loyal viewers. Overall, Disney can position itself amidst the streaming war as a direct competitor to Netflix, the market leader, by defending against losses and making plays for market share. Next slide.
Next, I will be discussing the second issue Disney faces of international expansion. The Disney company has made great efforts to expand internationally over the past several decades. However, 3 key issues within Disney's attempts at international expansion have prevented the company from making greater strides at improving its profitability. These 3 issues include the Disney company's dependence on North America, as a majority of Disney's revenues come from North America, cultural differences, as the company needs to navigate these differences carefully for each individual international marketplace that it wishes to operate in, as well as political and regulatory challenges, as regulations and unstable political conditions in foreign markets may present obstacles to profitability. I will further discuss and break down each one of these key issues next, starting with Disney's dependence on North American revenues. According to the Walt Disney Company study by Frank Rothermel, the Disney Company's international branch has over 13,500 employees with operations in 45 countries across the world. The company has a substantial global footprint across 6 regions, being Asia, Australia and New Zealand, EMEA, which stands for Europe, Middle East, and Africa, India, Latin America, and Russia. However, Disney remains dependent on North America for a majority of its revenues, as illustrated by this chart of the Disney company's revenues by region. More than 70% of Disney's revenues came from North America, leaving the company very vulnerable to changes in the market preferences of the continent. Disney will need to improve their performance in other regions if they wish to make themselves less vulnerable overall. Next, I will examine a couple reasons as to why Disney has been more profitable in North America rather than opposed to other regions. Cultural differences around the world and in each region Disney operates represents one of the key obstacles to Disney's overall profitability outside North America. For example, in 1992, Disney opened Disneyland Paris, much to the disdain of a majority of the French public. Disneyland Paris has performed quite dismally since its inception, as many in the French media championed for the failure of the park, and they claimed that it was a project of American cultural imperialism. As we can see to the chart on the right, Euro's Disney share price shortly after the opening of the park in 1992 completely plummeted. This was a direct result of the poor reception of Disneyland Paris from the outset, and unfortunately, Euro Disney has never really recovered since. In order to avoid such failures in the future, the Disney company must have a better understanding of a particular region's sentiments towards not only the company itself, but also sentiments towards American-made media in general. The company needs to do a more thorough job of gauging public opinion regarding potential expansion projects, and may want to consider outsourcing more locally based business intelligence consulting firms in order to identify potential challenges or shortcomings. Another key obstacle to Disney's overall profitability outside of North America are the existing political and regulatory conditions in each region. Disney Shanghai, for example, was a 10+ year project in the making. And while Disney Shanghai has proven to be successful thus far, it took great patience for the company to realize its vision for Disney Shanghai, and it had to spend years working with Chinese authorities to ensure compliance with the country's financial reporting, trade, licensing, real estate laws, etc. So when companies expand internationally, another thing that they have to keep in mind is ethical practices and values. These practices and values may not align with the practices and values of a particular region. And for example, in many developing markets around the world, practices such as bribery and corruption remain prevalent. So Disney must always be aware of these ethical practices and standards of wherever they choose to operate, and also ultimately uphold their own code of ethics. Perhaps most importantly, though, Disney must also be aware of the socio-political circumstances of the country or region they operate in. While Disney Shanghai has been moderately successful so far, Disney needs to recognize the current political tension between the United States and China and brace themselves for the worst. As a massive American company, Disney could face many implications of the overarching trade war between China and the United States. And so while Disney has made a concerted effort to expand internationally, and it has done so with varying degrees of success, we can definitely improve the profitability of our operations by better navigating and in turn understanding the socio-cultural differences of international markets. Disney can make its products and services more appealing to the people of those respective markets. The same can also be said for political and regulatory challenges. In general, the more information and intelligence Disney is able to gather about a country or a region, the more informed and prepared Disney will be for how to go about operating in that country or region. So Disney should strongly consider outsourcing specialty consulting firms to gather business intelligence and market insights, as well as analyze the political and economic macro environment of a particular country or region.
Now we'll be talking about our third issue, which involves a new corporate strategy. Disney owns more than 7 movie studios as of 2019, including Walt Disney Pictures and Walt Disney Animation Studios. Disney then acquired Pixar in 2006, Marvel Entertainment in 2009, Lucasfilms in 2012, and most recently 21st Century Fox in 2019. How many studios can Disney acquire before sales are cannibalized? Well, we may already be at that point. Next slide. So Chapek must take the company in a new direction, which is stopping acquiring new studios and focusing more instead on investing in foreign markets. Originality and market share at Disney can be preserved by creating new media for North American consumers within the 7 existing studios, while also introducing Disney to new foreign markets. As Cameron stated, Disney must look out for sociocultural differences, economic, political, and legal differences. Disney must be sensitive when entering these new foreign markets since it is an American brand. For every new foreign market that they enter, they must research knowing exactly the population and financial state that the country is in. And now we'll be going into our conclusion.
So as the new leadership, we hope to continue Disney's dominance in the media industry. But as the media industry begins to move in a new direction, so must we at Disney. With the second largest streaming service, Hulu, and the fastest growing streaming service, Disney Plus, we're in great position to increase our market share in the emerging streaming sector of the media industry. This is crucial for our growth as a company. Additionally, we are looking to move away from our past acquisition-based corporate strategy to minimize our involvement in a dying sector, cable TV, as well as cut down on potential cannibalization of our profits. Our new strategy is based on international expansion. We'll devote the proper resources needed to correctly and efficiently move Disney products and theme parks into new countries around the globe and continue Disney's run as a media powerhouse across the world. Next slide.
Thank you for listening to our meeting, and we hope you enjoyed it.